Crypto is falling down, and I have news for you. If you are watching this, you are someone that is at a very opportune time in crypto. We are on the edge of something really important, but you may approach this in the wrong way where you lose out on a lot of potential upside. If you're thinking about the crypto market in the wrong way, you can actually miss out on generational wealth, on better returns than you'll get in any other asset class. And it's something that I feel a bit inspired to talk about right now. I just had a conversation with someone that is very, very successful in the real estate space, has been buying for decades, and is still young and still has grown a very good portfolio of rental properties. Is one of the top people around me in terms of accumulating these kinds of properties. And we had a very interesting conversation. He just started buying Bitcoin for the first time, and hopefully he doesn't mind me talking about this, but I think people are approaching Bitcoin in the wrong way. And while Bitcoin is falling right now, and while altcoins are falling, I think there's a huge opportunity. So I want to go through that. If you don't mind, hit subscribe so you can see future videos just like this. Most videos we talk about the news. This one's going to be a little bit different because it's my views on the current market. Now, I will be talking about getting a little bit more aggressive, the opportunity that is here for leveraging. If you want to start leveraging, there's a link underneath the video to BYDeFi. You can start trading cryptocurrency there. They also have this trading competition where you can get access to this prize pool. Every $1 million that's traded by anyone that's ever signed up under my link adds another $100 in the prize pool, and that's going to be distributed to traders by the end of this countdown period. So check this out. We constantly run promotions like this, and this is a place where you can leverage. You can get access to leverage to get even better returns. So check this out underneath the video. You don't have to KYC, meaning you don't have to give out your personal information. You give out your email, a password, and then you check their terms and conditions, and you can start trading and transferring in. Now, like I said, I had a very interesting conversation with someone in the real estate spaces, bought a lot of real estate over the decades, and I don't want to give out too much information on them, but they've been very successful. And I've bought some units over the last couple of years, and we talk about real estate, we talk about debasement, we talk about equities, and a lot of other things too. And he just started buying Bitcoin recently, which I found was interesting because I talked to him about a year ago, and if I remember right, he hadn't bought before, and maybe he had done some research, but he just figured it wasn't really for him. And we were talking about rentals in general today, and how a lot of the time rentals, like on paper, maybe make sense, but when you account for maybe increased taxes, increased insurance, the time that's spent in them, repairs that come up, a lot of the time, it doesn't give you that good a return at first. A lot of the time, if you're leveraged out, maybe you don't even make anything for the first couple of years. It seems like you might, but then something comes up and you don't make much for maybe 5 years, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line. And then all of a sudden, compounding takes effect. You've paid down your mortgage, you have appreciation, and the cash flows go up over time. There are boom periods like 2020, where like everyone's rents go up, and you can make really good wealth over time in rental real estate. And it got me kind of thinking about the different asset classes, right? Real estate does well because you basically get monetary debasement and you're levered up on it. So if you put 25% down on some property, you get 4 times whatever it appreciates by. Right? So let's say it appreciates by 3% in a year, you get 4 times that because you only have 25% of your money in the deal. The rest is owned by the bank, but you get all the appreciation. So that 3% turns into 12%, and you get whatever cash flow, you get depreciation, you get loan pay down as well. So you might get like a 15 or 16% rate of return. Stocks are great because if you buy the S&P 500, it's weighted towards the most profitable, fastest growing companies in the world, the largest market caps that have done really well recently. And you have hundreds of thousands of people. They're always trying to create a profitable company that are working for you. Like NVIDIA, they have a ton of people just trying to be as profitable as possible. Same thing with Amazon, Google, etc. And they're all trying to make you as profitable as possible when you own the index, right? Or trying to make their own company as profitable as possible. Crypto is great because of the digitization of money, because of monetary debasement. pushing up hard assets. And you're also getting the tailwind of more and more people buying crypto, which is something that doesn't really happen in real estate anymore. There aren't a bunch of new people coming into the market to buy up 4 units, right? Same thing with stocks. Like, sure, there are people adding all the time, but you're not getting a whole, like, you're not seeing the same wave of investors, like 2x the investors every 4 years buying stocks that have never bought before, right? It's largely the same pool of people that continuously buy, but there are a lot of people that are turning to Bitcoin that have thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions and tens of millions of dollars that are buying up Bitcoin. You see more and more treasury companies all the time that are buying up Bitcoin, and that causes the price to go up quicker because there's more of an adoption curve. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because we have to realize that there are still cycles for all these assets, right? They all have benefits and drawbacks, right? But there are still cycles and there are downturns, right? It seems like real estate only ever goes up, but right now, at least by me, we're seeing weakness. We're seeing rents go down a little bit. We're seeing houses that are on sale for a couple months at a time, 3 months, 4 months, and getting price drops. Like, there's seasonal weakness. There's maybe a little drawback after 2022, 2021, when all the money was printed and then we saw rates go up. Same thing happens with the stock market. We see boom and bust periods. We still see that with crypto too. Like, people are bearish now. Some people are bearish because we've fallen $10,000. Yet I'm speaking to this very successful individual that just bought recently for the first time on some of this weakness. So it's amazing to me that we have people that are so bearish when we've seen just a little bit of a pullback, when we've gone up 100%. And then another 100%. The last 2 years, we've gone up 100% a year. So we've 4x'd in the last 2 years, and people are still bearish. And I think some of that is because people get into altcoins and have a very short time horizon, when they really should be focusing on Bitcoin and realizing that anything else is more speculative, right? Ethereum, Solana, XRP, all that is more speculative. Just if you look at how long Bitcoin's been around, if you look at the volatility, if you look at the price performance, Bitcoin is just a superior asset, and everything else I think is riskier. So if you're buying altcoins, if you're leveraging, it adds extra risk, and that's fine, right? I use a small portion of my portfolio to leverage trade, and it's kind of like options in my opinion. You can put money in options, but I'm not putting my entire portfolio into options at one point on Tesla or something like that, or Nvidia. Right? Sure, you might make incredible returns, but you also might lose all your money in the next day or two. So instead of that, I look at 2 or 3x, 5x positions on Bitcoin at key opportune times, and some altcoins too. But I do that, and I do that with a small portion of my portfolio, kind of like options. If we see a very opportune time in the stock market, it might make sense to get a little bit more aggressive with a small portion of your portfolio. So we have these people that are shooting for 100x gains that are all into altcoins, thinking about months when they really should be looking at years, just like in real estate, right? If you buy something tomorrow in real estate, you're not going to make money over the next week in real estate or month or anything like that. Like, you should not be focused on the next 2 months if you're buying something today. Same thing in Bitcoin. Now, in real estate, there are transaction costs, right? And there's more time that's spent. So you actually lose more in real estate on the initial buy. Of course, the market isn't as efficient, so you might buy a property that's off market and you might be able to resell it pretty fast, as opposed to crypto where it's a worldwide market. But still, you can buy crypto with basically 0 transaction fees. You can buy in an instant, and you can't do that in real estate. So there's definitely a difference. But again, I think you have to be looking at crypto as a 4-year investment for the most part. And if you do that, you're going to get better returns in Bitcoin than just about any other asset. Same thing if you bought altcoins, right? If you bought most altcoins, like an index of altcoins 4 years ago, you probably would be up, right? We haven't hit quite all-time highs on altcoins, but you'd still be doing fairly well as long as you didn't buy the exact peak. Bitcoin, again, I think is less risky than all those altcoins, so there will probably be a time where altcoins outperform. But I just want to bring this up because, yeah, Bitcoin's falling down right now. Altcoins are falling down a little bit. But if you just zoom out and think over a longer time span, you would have made insane returns buying at any point ever in Bitcoin's history, minus the last 3 months, right? So I still think we need to think long term. if you are in Bitcoin for the next decade, you're probably going to be wealthier than most people you know, right? If you can just accumulate and hold over time. And again, the person I met up with today, I asked him, are there people that bought rentals around the same time as you? And he said, yeah, there were people that bought rentals, but they stopped at 1 or 2 or 3, or they sold off and then tried to time back in the market, and it doesn't work out well. And he said, basically, I have to force myself to continue to buy rentals, even when I have a bit of price anchoring, where maybe one unit is worth 100,000 in my mind, but now I have to buy them at 150,000, right? Because of the market. But if I can get a good deal, even if it's hard to remember in my mind, or even if, I have this anchoring to this prior price where I was able to buy units, the market's moved. So I have to continue to buy because otherwise I just won't. There'll be a mental block. Same thing with Bitcoin, right? Even though you might have bought Bitcoin at 50,000, we might not ever get to $50,000 Bitcoin. So if you want more Bitcoin in your portfolio, you might have to bite the bullet and buy it at 113. We just saw a 10% move down. And right now, if you want to get more aggressive, this might be a opportune time to long the market. I said that earlier today, but we are seeing the bottom of this descending channel coincide with the previous support at 112,000. So this could be an opportune time to put in a long position. I just put in a long position on Ethereum because we're actually seeing what I think is flipping resistance into support right around 4,000 to 4,100. I'm trying not to get too greedy, so I just opened a position. I had a long limit order for this exact price. I opened a position here because I think we could see a nice little flip. Now, I'm not betting the farm on this, right? I'm not going all in because I realize this is very risky compared to my other investments, and I have a long-term time horizon. But I also realize, hey, if the stock market falls 40%, it might be a good time to go and buy some call options, right? Kind of like I'm doing here. This is like the equivalent of a call option, right? So yeah, this is the time. This is the time. If you want to accumulate more, set up a plan to buy long-term and just dollar cost average. If you haven't already positioned yourself so that you can, get a little bit more aggressive with the part of your portfolio, maybe you consider it now. But of course, do your own due diligence as well. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you want to check out BYDeFi, this is one of the places that I've been setting up trades. This is where I set up my trade today. Also, check out my Telegram underneath the video. I talked about my trade there. Like, as soon as I was placing the trade, I was posting why I was doing it there. So you can check it out. It's completely free underneath the video. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all in the next one. By the way, let me know what you're eating next. We're actually going out for my wife's birthday dinner. Her birthday is not today, but we finally got around to going out for the birthday dinner, and we're having steaks. So yeah, let me know what you're having for your next meal down below in the comment section. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.